Today we're going to be talking about being an introverted homeschool mom and the challenges that come with that, what I have found to help with it, and let's just chat about it because I think it's not something that is talked about enough and it's something I feel rather strongly about. So keep watching. Hey there, if you're new here, I am a homeschooling mom of 3 kiddos. My name's Christine. I live in New Zealand and my kiddos are, 6, 5, and 3. My 6-year-old will very soon be 7. So I feel like, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but when my kids are getting really close to their birthday, my brain just automatically starts thinking of them as the next stage up. 7. I can't believe he's going to be 7. I want to talk to you about being an introverted homeschool mom. I've got a blog post on this on my blog, but I don't think I've ever made a video about it. I did go back and check because sometimes I forget what kind of videos I've made, but I don't think I have. And so I wanted to just talk to you about what it's like being an introverted homeschool mom. If you're not an introvert, maybe clear up some misconceptions and also things that I do to help me cope with being with people all of the time. And yeah, we'll just chat about it a bit. So first of all, before I even start getting into it, I want to chat about the definition of being introverted versus extroverted because this gets very confused. Basically, the most simple way to define it is that when you're with people, after you've socialized with people, if you feel energized, you're typically an extrovert. If you feel drained, you're an introvert. Being an introvert does not mean that you don't like being with people. I think people don't, as a whole, it's kind of depicted that way, and that's just not true. I love being with people. I love my family. I love my friends. I love my kids. But it makes me tired. After I've been out with people or being with my kids all day, I'm exhausted from mentally socializing with people all the time. It makes me tired. That's just the way it is. It's just the way I've been made. And then the other thing I wanted to say is that there's nothing wrong with that. I felt like there was something wrong with me for so long, that it was a bad thing that I didn't feel like I didn't want to be with people all the time, or that I wanted time by myself, or that I felt like my brain was going to explode from being in situations where it's loud and there's a lot of people and things like that. I felt like I've always disliked going to noisy restaurants or stores that play really loud music. And there's more to this is more than just being introverted, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. But those kind of situations make me feel overwhelmed and tired after being in them. And something that really, really helped me, and I will link to this in the description below, is the book. I think it's just called Introverted Mom. And I listened to this. I listened to it as an audiobook. And it was so helpful. It's written by a fellow introverted mom, and she just goes through and breaks down myths about being an introvert and just talks about what it's like. And oh my goodness, I could just relate to it on so many levels. So if you feel the same way as I do, go ahead and get that book because it is worth listening to, and you will just feel so much solidarity and a little less alone in all of this. So something else she talks about in that book is being a highly sensitive person. And honestly, I hate that term because I feel like someone's going to touch me and I'll just explode or something. That is not what it's referring to. But in situations where there's lots of noise or just lots of people talking and stuff like that, it can overwhelm you very quickly. And some people are fine with that, and other people, like myself, are a bit sensitive and can't deal with that for long periods of time. I used to always dread, after church, we'd have a shared meal, and I never liked them. And I realized now in my adulthood, it's because it was in a loud, echoey building with a lot of people, and there's people trying to talk to you, and then you need to get food, and I need to get food for my kids, and it just feels so overwhelming to my brain. And so that's they kind of work together. So it's a double whammy. But yeah, get that book because I highly recommend it. But I wanted to talk about things that I specifically use with homeschooling to help me as an introverted mom, because the reality is me being introverted it can be a weakness in some ways. Being extroverted can be a weakness in some ways because you might like need that constant like interaction with people and you might not be able to get it. And so you could see that as a weakness. Being introverted, you need that alone time. And it is a genuine need. It's not someone being like a picky princess. It is a genuine need for me. Otherwise, my brain cannot function. It just can't. Like I will get to the end of the day and I just want to weep because I am so overwhelmed by just trying to think with like all the stimulation from everything. So let me chat about how I make sure that my needs are met as an introvert, but also manage it so that I'm not taking away from other people, if that makes sense. Because I don't ever want it to be an excuse to be unkind to people or to not serve or to not love my children in the way that I should be loving them. And so just like anything, you have to manage it so that you're taking care. Like my sister and I were actually talking about this yesterday, and like the whole concept of self-care and biblical self-care, which I've talked about before. I can actually link that video here. And really, this is like my personal opinion, so you can come at me if you want, but whatever. This is what I believe. Self-care is about taking care of yourself so that you can serve other people. It's not about taking care of yourself so that you just feel fulfilled and your life is perfect and all that. And it's not just about your fulfillment. It is ultimately so that I personally can serve my family better. And so like self-care I've got like a weird relationship with it because I don't like the general world's definition of self-care, like pedicures and massages and like, that kind of stuff. I like that can be self-care for people, but I think there's a lot more to it than that. So anyway, I'll leave that video for you to watch if you want to watch more about that because I talk about it a lot more. So all of these could be considered self-care for me because it manages my needs so that I can care for my family better. So first of all, I have a morning time where I do my Bible time during that time, but that's not, you don't necessarily need to use it for that. Really, the concept is that I get up before my children, and that is not always achievable, especially when you have really young babies and things like that. I'm in a stage in my life now where it's very achievable. My children do not come out of their rooms before 7 a.m. That's something we've instilled in them since they were babies. They have little clocks in their room. They know when they're allowed to come out. I mean, obviously, if there's an emergency, they know to come get us, but generally speaking, they won't just waltz through to the lounge at like 6:15 in the morning because that's just not what we've ever done. And so I know that I have time in the morning to myself to get my head in the right space. And sometimes I don't even need to do anything but just sit for a little while and wake up before I have 3 sweet little ones coming in and asking me questions and telling me about their night's sleep and the dream they had and what are we going to do today, Mum, and what's for dinner, because we all know we get asked that question 5 million times a day. And so I get up at 6:30 and I have my Bible time then, and I have a cup of tea, and that just helps my brain to wake up, and I am in such a better mood than when my children come through. So that's something I personally do, and it works well for me, because then it's all go, go, go all the way through until about 1 p.m. And that is when we have our afternoon quiet time. This is something I got really lax about last year, and it showed, and I brought it back in at the beginning of this year, and oh my goodness, it is so good, and I need to just have this on record so I never let myself go back to not doing it again. So we have afternoon quiet time for at least an hour for my big kids. My daughter naps, so she usually sleeps from 1 till 3:30. Sometimes she doesn't always sleep till 3:30, but that's when her clock will turn on and she'll come out at 3:30. Sometimes she sleeps all the way till 4. So her clock turns on at 3:30, telling her she can come out, like it changes color. But if she's still asleep, it won't bother her. So anyway, she'll sleep all that time. So my big kids will have quiet time. I put my 5-year-old in my room because she shares a room with her sister, and her sister's sleeping. So she'll come into my room, and Jack will go in his room, and they will just play quietly. Annie actually has been napping. My 5-year-old has been napping every day that I put her down for rest time lately, and I think it's just summer, and she's growing, and she needs to sleep. So that gives me an hour to eat my lunch in peace and just let my brain rest, and I love it, and it makes a world of difference. So if you're homeschooling, you probably have homeschooled all morning. Your brain's been go, go, go. You've been asked questions. You've been managing babies and toddlers and older children, and your brain is tired from all the input. Having that hour of quiet, it's great for your kids. They learn how to entertain themselves and play quietly, be content in their own company, and you get to just let your brain cool off. So that's something else that I do. Another one is, and this is probably really the last like big tip I'm going to have, because really having those quiet times is very important to me. The next one is just considerate communication with your children. Now, I will say that I have always been talkative. So that's another myth about introverts. We're not all shy, quiet people. When I'm in my comfort zone, I will talk your ear off, which is not always a great thing. So I'm sorry to people that I do that to. Being self-aware about that is really important. But as a child, I was very, very talkative. Nothing has really changed all that much. But the way that people approached me about being talkative did make a lasting effect on me. Because words aren't bad if they are used wisely and are encouraging to other people. It's when people are just talking nonsense that it can be not a great thing, or talking over people and not listening to the person that you're having a conversation with. And so I try as an adult, I'm trying really hard with my children who are all very talkative. Thank you, Lord, for bringing that right back around on me. To be very considerate in my communication with them. So for instance, the other day I was driving with my kids in the car, and I was just feeling overwhelmed. It had been a big, busy day. We were out doing something. I can't even remember what now. And they were all asking questions, like one after another. Mom, what's this mean? What does that mean? Like, look at that, da, 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 you know, and I was trying to focus on driving. And so I said to them, hey guys, Mommy's brain is feeling really overwhelmed right now, and I need 10 minutes of nobody talking to me, okay? I said, you're welcome to talk to yourselves, but I need 10 minutes of no one asking me any questions. And I actually had my watch or my phone in the car, and I set a timer so that they had a clear timer, I had a clear timer, and they didn't talk to me for that time. And so I don't want to shame my children for asking me questions, because they're just being children. That's how they learn. And so I don't want to like turn around and be like, would you just stop talking? You never stop talking. Like, I don't want to respond that way to them. That can be so hurtful and damaging. And my parents didn't do that to me, so I don't want anyone to think my parents did that. But I have had adults do that to me when I was a child, and it had a lasting impact. Or like, Kristen, you just talked so much, and oh my goodness, they never stopped talking. And like, it was embarrassing because I wasn't self-aware of my talking. And there's ways to communicate that to people without making them feel ashamed of what they're doing. You know what I mean? So anyway, be considerate with your communication to your children when you ask them not to speak to you or like to give you a break. But it's okay to ask them for that as well. Like, it's okay to put up boundaries and say, you know, I'm a human too. These are my actual needs. I need a break for my brain. It needs time to rest, and it can just be 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'll be fine to chat to you again, but give mommy some time. So that's something I highly recommend doing, especially as your kids get older. You know, it's harder when they're toddlers, but as they get older, they can understand that kind of thing, and just have open communication about it. We're made differently, you know? Some people get energized by being with people, and other people get tired, and that's normal, and it's the way God made us. So there's that. And then the final thing I wanted to chat about is just attitude. My attitude towards it all, it can be very easy to be like, I need alone time, I need alone time, I need alone time, like I'm getting overwhelmed, da da da. And I have to stop and think sometimes, like, Christine, you're trying to do this in your own strength, and that is not how Christ commands us to live. And yes, we do need to be attending to our needs, but there are going to be times as a mother where you just can't, like, just like sleep deprivation. You know, there's going to be times where you can't sleep, even though you need to sleep. And so trusting in the Lord and adjusting my attitude, like, instead of being irritable and grumpy because I can't get what I need, to like say, okay, I can't get what I need right now. I need a break, but I can't have that right now. And so I'm going to choose to speak kindly to my family. I'm going to choose to simplify the things around me that I can and just focus on getting the necessary things done. And I'm going to choose to make good connections with my children instead of snapping at them and letting them get the brunt of your needs not being met. You know what I mean? And so I wouldn't want that to be a long-term solution, because you do need some time alone. But in the moments where I am really struggling and I can't get that break, it has to be an attitude adjustment, and it has to be a very conscious and intentional decision. So that is what I have to say on the subject. I don't know if this has been helpful for anybody. Let me know if you can relate. Let me know if you have any tips for fellow introverted homeschool moms, or if you're an extroverted homeschool mom. I cannot speak to that. I have no idea what it is like to want to be with people all the time, because that is not how I feel. But if you have anything to chime in about, please leave that down in the comments below. I am grateful for extroverts. I'm grateful for introverts. I'm grateful that God made us all different and that it balances us all out ultimately. So yes, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
What if the world had more of your smile? What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweet